Hi guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Friday's over. It's officially the weekend, guys. You should be in bed. You should be asleep. It's early in the morning, but I'm glad you're here. I hope I'm ready for today. It was a struggle, and I was only 14 minutes late. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. This is what happens though to people who are late.
All right, are you Mr. Jimmy Ramsey?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ramsey, you were convicted here for manufacturing meth back in June of 2015 and given a 30-year sentence. You've had at least one prior revocation back in 2017. You were revoked to prison at that time. You got back out and you've been on probation, is that right?
Yes, sir.
They now allege that you have violated the terms and conditions of your probation because your probation officer instructed you to report to court here at the courthouse on March the 13th of 2023, and you failed to report and failed to show up. And you have a balance on your fines and fees and have not made a single payment for 5 years. Since March the 21st of 2019. You're here today with your lawyer, Ms. Payne. Ms. Payne, what is your announcement?
It's an admission.
All right, Mr. Ramsey, your lawyer says you wish to admit the violations. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's the state's recommendation?
150 to 180 in the PDC, Your Honor, with all conditions to be made special.
Ms. Payne, is that agreed upon?
No, Your Honor. The defendant was requesting credit for time served at the jail. He's employed by John Laracy at AJ Trailers and still has that job available to him. And we're requesting the court to let him back out and that the $167.93 be paid in standard.
Well, he's been on the loose and not reporting. He had no explanation for why he didn't report and why he hadn't been reporting to the probation officer, and why, if he's working, why hadn't he paid a single payment on his fines and fees for 5 years?
Your Honor, at the time in 2023, when Miss Morris was his probation officer, she had instructed him to report up to the courthouse. He reports that she knew that he didn't have transportation at the time and that he was walking to try to get here. Then she gave him till lunchtime and he wasn't going to make it, so he turned around and went home.
Didn't bother to come back the next week or the next week.
And went about working, Judge.
Well, we can't just let them do that. Now can't let him just go 2 years without making any payments, especially when he's working. All right, I'll revoke 170 to 180 in the PDC.
All conditions special, Your Honor.
All conditions special.
Yeah, she paid me the date. But they said he wouldn't show up.
All right, what's next?
I'm sorry, Judge. Mr. Ramsey was just saying that since he's been arrested, the fine had been paid.
Good.
If the court would take that into consideration and lower the PDC amount.
Nah. You got to report when you're supposed to report. You got to come to court when you're supposed to come to court. You can't just all of a sudden say, oh, well, yeah, I hadn't been paying for 5 years, but all of a sudden I'll pay it now instead of going to jail. You know, it doesn't work that way. You got to have a little responsibility for yourself and do what you're supposed to do, especially when you're on a 30-year prison sentence.
Yes, sir.
You need to think about that. This is a 30-year prison sentence that you got hanging over your head.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that too.
No, he said PDC. Discovered deputy. Can we get Justin Turnage?
Hey, can we do Lindsay?
Or never mind.
That.
I'll defer to Mr. Calhoun.
Who's the guy? Oh, it is Lindsay.
So I don't know what happened there. I mean, he went back to jail. I do know that. But it sounded like not for 30 years. Didn't it sound like 180 days? And then he's back out again? for manufacturing meth that's killing, everybody. Anyway, don't be late. Don't be late. That'll be you next time. Okay, I was late, but that's okay. All right, let's jump into this one. This we're jumping right in. She had just started the testimony. Um, before I could click, like I could get to it and click record, and it was live. I can't rewind it, so we just missed a few minutes. It's fine. It's a doctor who is defending her opinion on competency of this guy, of this inmate. So it's really interesting. Here we go. Just buckle up.
Lengthy background narrative that appear to include delusional and paranoid content, end quote. Can you expand on that and describe it for us?
So he talked at length about this being under surveillance, believing that people, he started out quite a while in the past, and he talked about previous relationships, romantic relationships, believing the women were prostituting themselves, using his home for that. He talked about, I don't remember all of the details, but connections to different people, different individuals in higher positions, such as where he works and other places. And then he came up to the current and was talking about kind of how that all led him to where he is. I don't know how much detail we want.
I think that's good enough for now. Then you know that when you asked him follow-up questions, that the additional information he provided also indicated delusional and paranoid thinking, right?
Correct.
And did you kind of encompass that additional information in what you just described?
We have no
in the previous
mods.
answer?
Generally speaking.
Okay. And your report, and you touched on this, mentioned that you specifically asked him about the voices he hears, right?
Yes.
And what did he tell you about those voices?
So I asked him about that in part related to kind of court. Is that the part you're thinking of?
Yes. So what did he describe to you about that?
So he talked about, he hears voices. He described hearing them every day, but he tries to let it go through him. When he talked about hearing voices, it sounded to me like it was part of the surveillance thing. There was collateral information that suggested he responds or has a history of responding to stimuli when other people don't see any stimuli around. I did not experience that with him, though.
And based on your evaluation and review of the collateral information, did you make a determination as to Michael's competency to stay in trial?
My opinion is that he's not currently competent to stand trial.
Why did you reach that conclusion?
So my conclusion was based on an inability to recognize that he was experiencing symptoms of severe mental illness. So in particular, delusional and paranoid beliefs.
Back off, ladies. If he's available, he's mine.
When I talked with him about mental health, he initially said there were no problems. He then, I believe, mentioned a previous diagnosis of schizophrenia, but that he didn't believe it. He didn't agree with it. Like I said, he was taking Lamictal and he believed he might be having some depression. But my concern is how that delusional and paranoid thinking that he doesn't recognize as such would impact his ability to effectively communicate with counsel and work in his own defense.
And why do you think you would not be able to assist myself in defending yourself?
I'm not going to fix him. No way. I'm just going to enjoy the ride.
So I'll back up a little bit. He presents really well. He keeps this under wraps a lot. I believe even his father had commented that he hides it well, and he has over time. But the collateral information indicates that this is not something new. He's had these beliefs longstanding. I believe his dad estimated since about 1991. But when he starts talking about them, he believes these things are real. When he's challenged about it, he gets defensive. And my concern is that if you are trying to develop a defense with him on things that you are telling him are not based in reality and he believes they are, that could create a problem.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross. Thank you, John.
Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
You interviewed the defendant for approximately, well, just shy of 3 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as Mr. Grauman indicated, you received numerous reports and documents related to the investigation,
Correct.
as well as prior medical records. One of the things you identified that you considered was a case summary online. What is a case summary online?
That was the label on the document, and I believe it was related to a summary of actions in this case. So like, I don't remember if it was labeled as the docket.
So it was like he was arraigned, he was indicted.
It was that.
It was
Basic
not
information.
factual in terms of the events that occurred.
No.
You indicated you reviewed the jail records and talked to the defendant's parents. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you speak to any of the victims?
I did not.
Did you speak to any of the fire investigators or firemen or fire investigators who responded?
I did not.
Did you speak to any of the police officers who responded
I did not.
or any of the investigators?
No.
Did you speak with any of the people from the state fire marshal's office?
No.
You spoke with the defense attorney, correct, Mr.
Correct.
Grauman? But you didn't speak with me.
Correct.
That's what I want my next husband's to people to say about him. Yes, her new husband doesn't look that shit crazy at all.
And I read your report and I was somewhat, I will admit, somewhat confused or surprised. You conclude, I believe, it's fair to say, that he is capable of understanding the nature and objective of the proceedings against him.
Correct.
He knows that he has a lawyer who's supposed to represent him.
Mhm.
He knows what the judge does.
Yes.
He knows what a jury would do if it gets this far.
She's a doctor.
He knows the prosecutor is required to prove the case against him.
Correct.
But then you hypothesize that because of his delusions, he may not be able to communicate effectively with his attorney. Is that fair statement? Fair summary?
Yes.
Just for the record, you're a trained forensic psychologist, but you're not a lawyer.
Correct.
You've never been a trial lawyer.
No.
You know that Mr. Grauman is an experienced and well-trained trial lawyer.
Correct.
And I want to direct your attention to, I believe, page 9 of your report. It's the last
what?
paragraph from the bottom. You then, in your report, write, Mr. Birch's defense attorney, Nicholas Grauman, reported that no concerns about Mr. Birch understanding the legal process
Brah, that's my husband.
or being able to help in his defense. Is that still your opinion? Or is that what Mr. Grauman told you?
That was what he told me.
And he's the lawyer in charge of the defense, right?
Correct.
So this seems like a kind of unusual conclusion to come at. You sort of split your opinion in two parts. Is that typical for your reports?
I always do.
Splitting it into parts in regards to,
Let me rephrase that. Isn't that an unusual conclusion that despite what the lawyer tells you, you feel that the defendant is not able to assist in his own defense?
so I'm looking at the totality of the information.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Grauman also said that his impression was that Mr. Birch's version of events is not reality-based and the defendant believed it is reality.
But regardless, it didn't seem that there was a problem with Mr. Grauman communicating with his client. According to what your
According to
report
Mr.
says.
Grauman, as of the context they'd had at that time, correct?
You described in your report a severe mental illness, which includes delusional and paranoid thinking with possible auditory hallucinations. Why did you describe these as possible auditory hallucinations?
Because the way Mr. Birch described them, I got the impression there are things he's hearing in his head. The way he described it, it wasn't clear to me if it was his own thoughts or a hallucination, but collateral information talked about him appearing to respond to external stimuli, which suggests the possibility of hallucinations.
Are these command hallucinations? Are they telling him, do something?
I don't specifically remember that.
When you say he's hearing voices in his head, are these his own voice that he's internalizing in his head, or are these voices from some other person?
That wasn't clear. In talking with him about it, I left the evaluation thinking that it was related to what he considered surveillance, but it really wasn't 100% clear to me.
So it's difficult for you to say exactly what these alleged auditory hallucinations are. Is that fair?
That's facts.
I'm a little reluctant to call them alleged auditory hallucinations because I'm not clear that they are, and he was not referring to them as that.
Okay.
The voices.
I'll take that. So we're not clear that they are auditory hallucinations.
Correct, I'm not sure.
Well, whatever these things were in his mind, did they tell him to commit the offense of arson back in March of this year?
Arson.
I'm a little
There you go.
reluctant to answer that because I thought I was testifying on the report.
Let me ask you this question. If you don't know the answer to that question, that's fine. Fair. Do you know the answer to that question?
I'm trying to think through my notes. I believe there was a brief discussion about that.
Well, so the question is, did these so-called auditory hallucinations tell him to commit arson on March 29th of this year?
Based on my recollection of my notes, I do not recall him saying that.
Then did these so-called auditory hallucinations tell him to point a gun at a police officer, Deputy Phil Green, I'm sorry.
I apologize. I'm concerned we're getting in a territory of NGRI, and I don't know if I should proceed.
I'm just asking you because you described these, and it seems to me from your report, and please correct me, that the hallucinations, as well as the paranoia and delusional thinking, are the problem here in terms of competency. Is that fair?
My largest concern is about the paranoid and delusional thinking, and the voices come into play. I'm not sure if they're hallucinations.
So the voices, whether they're hallucinations or otherwise, are part of the problem that prevents him from effectively communicating with his defense, in your professional opinion.
In my opinion.
My guess is the prosecutor still wants to go forward. The defense attorney says we can't. You have to dismiss the case, and the judge has to decide.
All right. You also said he described signals. What do you mean by signals?
That honestly was very confusing. It was part of the surveillance. It's delusional. It doesn't fully make sense.
you've described somebody who perhaps has a
He
history
pronounced it
of mental
fine.
illness,
It was fine.
but yet in March of this year, he was working full-time. Is that correct?
Correct.
He, according to your report, was managing his money and income appropriately.
According to his report.
He lived in a nice house
That's what he told me.
until it burnt down. He was completing day-to-day tasks that we all have to complete in a satisfactory or at least an acceptable manner.
Apparently, yes.
So had these alleged auditory hallucinations ever previously caused him to commit crimes?
I don't know the answer to that.
Doctor, are you familiar with the PAI?
Yes.
What is that?
Personality assessment inventory?
Did you administer that to the defendant?
I did not.
Is that a test sometimes used to detect malingering?
There are scales on it that can be used, I believe, to detect feigning.
Which is, I don't know if it's a synonym for malingering, but it's similar to malingering. Is that?
Correct. So feigning would be an intentional it'd be a fabrication or exaggeration of symptoms. Malingering is feigning when there is external incentive to do so.
And just for the record, let's talk about malingering. And I think I took this out of DSM-5. Is that the most current statistical manner, or are we up to six?
I don't think this was me.
Okay.
I think this was them. I think it happens twice. It stops soon. I think they're trying to put something on the screen. I'm not sure though.
Would it be fair to describe malingering as the intentional production of false or grossly exaggerated physical or psychological problems? Would that be a fair definition?
Motivated by an external incentive.
Okay. And would that include perhaps avoiding work or obtaining financial compensation?
Those are potential external incentives.
And evading criminal prosecution is certainly one of those.
It could be.
We may skip those.
I mean, it's fine. He can, I mean, I don't think it matters the way he's pronouncing it.
What is the MFAST?
I don't recall
Is
exactly
it,
what it
is the
stands for.
Elmo turned on?
I've heard it sometimes referred to as the Miller Forensic Assessment of Symptoms.
That could be.
Okay. It's a, what is it?
I don't use it currently. It's not an instrument I'm familiar enough to be able to discuss.
Mr. Arnold.
All right, thank you. I guess I'm a little troubled. You are a forensic psychologist. You've been practicing psychology for how many years now?
I have been licensed since 2015.
All right. You're not familiar with the MFAST?
No.
Did you study it in grad school? That may be a while ago, so I won't ask you.
I did not study it in grad school. My degree is in clinical psychology.
Well, then, are you familiar with the structured interview of reported symptoms, the SIRS?
I am. SIRS 2 is the current version.
Okay. And is that similar to the test that you administered, which I think was the?
So the FIT-R is not a test. The FIT-R is a structured interview to gather information about competency-related information. The SIRS-R is specifically designed to help determine if someone could be feigning symptoms of mental health.
You did not use the SIRS-R in your examination of the defendant.
I did not, because I did not believe it was necessary.
How about the MMPI?
I did not.
You did not use it?
I did not use it.
You are familiar with it.
I am.
It also has the ability to detect malingering or feigning as one of its scales. Is that correct?
It does.
Did you administer the test of memory malingering, the TOM?
I did not. That is actually a test of effort.
What?
Of effort?
Okay. Doctor, do you know what the rate of malingering is in forensic evaluations?
17.
Off the top of my head.
I've read anywhere from 10 to 20%, perhaps as
17.
much as 50%. Do those
17.
numbers surprise you? You have to answer out loud. This lady's taking down everything, but she doesn't do head nods very well, despite her experience.
If you're finding that in research, then okay.
Doctor, as part of your training as well as your ongoing professional development, do you familiarize yourself with professional journals?
Some.
Are you familiar with the Journal of the Academy of Psychiatry and the Law?
I know it exists. It's not. Okay. I know it exists.
Is it a recognized journal used in forensic psychiatry, for example?
Well, I'm in psychology. The title would suggest it's recognized in psychiatry. I can't speak to psychiatry.
The learned treatises of the world of forensic psychiatry are not helpful to psychologists? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just want to stay in my lane as a psychologist.
See what you men do? That's not what she said at all. She didn't say that, anything like that. Oh, so I'm not good at anything ever. Is that what you're saying? Forget it. I'm marrying him. Forget the other guy.
Psychologist and not a psychiatrist.
Understand. There was an article written by Dr. Joseph Pierre, who is a psychiatrist, who said the gold standard for detection of malingered psychosis involves expert clinical assessment. Do you agree with that part of the statement?
I would agree.
Augmented by standard psychometric testing. What is psychometric testing?
Psychometric testing would be testing that can be looked at objectively.
Some of the tests we have discussed here so far would be psychometric testing. Is that correct?
Correct.
You did not administer any of those.
I did not.
And Dr. Pierre also says claims of voice hearing are particularly easy to feign and largely unverifiable. Does your experience support that statement?
It is difficult to verify. However, you can, and this gets at why I did not do testing, is that I considered going back to do the SIRS. But I did not, my clinical opinion was that it was not necessary because I looked at received additional collateral information, and the symptoms I experienced, my observations of Mr. Birch, what he was telling me was consistent with other collateral sources.
So even though the gold standard is an experienced forensic interview augmented by testing, you chose to just rely on your clinical interview and investigation.
Viewing part of best practice in these evaluations is gathering information from various sources. And so when you have collateral information from multiple sources that all align, in the sense that you're receiving consistent information from jail records, interviews with other individuals, to me, that I felt in my clinical judgment that it was not necessary to do additional testing.
Are you familiar with the works of Dr. Phil Resnick?
I recognize the name, yes.
Philip Resnick, I should say. He's a professor of psychiatry up at Cleveland State.
Sounds right.
And he's written extensively on the issue of malingering. Is that true?
Yes.
Are you familiar with his article? And you probably recognize the cover of it more than anything else, called Faking It. That was in the Current Psychiatry magazine several years ago.
I can't say I recognize the picture.
Okay. Do you recognize the article? Or have you ever heard of the article?
I read a lot of things.
Okay, fair
I'll
enough.
trust you to refresh my memory.
Fair enough. And I have a copy of that article. That would help you. May I, Your Honor? Yes. And I think Dr. Jenny O'Donnell was the one who provided that to me, of all people.
Okay.
On page 16 of his report, or his article, Dr. Resnick says that auditory hallucinations are usually clear, not vague. In this case, were the hallucinations that the defendant claimed to be experiencing clear, or were they vague?
I recall him making some statements about things he heard being clear. Other things, he made vague reference to them, and I didn't follow up necessarily. And I'm more concerned about the delusional thinking than these voices in terms of competency.
How do the alleged auditory hallucinations relate to being delusional?
When he talked about the delusions, he talked about the voices, hearing things in his head that were part of that, in terms of the surveillance that he believes he's under.
So somebody was telling him about the surveillance? The voices?
I apologize, I can't be more specific, but a delusion is very confusing to understand. So there were references to voices telling him things, hearing things in his head. We got into some specifics about that, but not every single thing. A delusion's not based in reality. And so it gets very confusing for those of us who are more based in reality.
Despite not having done any psychological testing, you did come to the conclusion, I believe, that the defendant could be restored to competency.
That was my opinion, yes.
So, and in our situation, Summit Behavioral would be probably the most appropriate venue.
That was my opinion.
So how does Summit, let me rephrase it. Hypothetically, if you were a treating psychologist at Summit, how would you fix Mr. Birch?
I think it's less about the psychologist and more about a medication prescriber. So there are medications, psychiatric medications that target delusional and paranoid thinking. So hypothetically speaking, at Summit, a medication prescriber could prescribe those types of medications. I'm not familiar with everything involved in their treatment plans, but if there were group therapy situations or individual appointments with the prescriber, some of this delusional and paranoid content could also be challenged verbally.
I think you told me when we discussed this earlier that this was a very close call in your mind.
It was.
And what do you mean by that?
So, as I believe a lot of legal examiners do, I think of competency as being on a continuum. It's not a black and white issue. So if a defendant is at one extreme or the other of the continuum, it's more straightforward. In my opinion, Mr. Birch it was a more nuanced situation. So he understood, as we've discussed, court procedures, the objectives and procedures. But eventually for me, what I came to the opinion that the delusional and paranoid thinking would be problematic.
So are you substituting your judgment for that of his legally trained and experienced trial lawyer?
I am not. I am looking at it from my position as a psychologist.
But you acknowledge that according to your report, counsel had no concerns about Mr. Birch understanding the legal process or being able to help in his defense. On page 9. Second paragraph from the bottom.
Correct. What I was looking for is the number of times Mr. Birch said that they had contact. So they had met 2 to 3 times. Obviously, I was not present for those visits,
Okay.
those conversations. But yes, my opinion is that because he does not recognize that these thoughts are paranoid and delusional, that lack of recognition of that is going to get in the way.
So in summary, you've decided that there's a problem with communicating to his lawyer based on your evaluation, correct?
I believe what I said was consistently and effectively communicating.
You
So
believe,
not-
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
no, finish your answer.
I believe what I said is that it would negatively impact his ability to meaningfully and consistently assist in his defense.
You believe based solely on a forensic interview that he was not malingering or feigning any of these symptoms,
Based on a forensic interview and additional collateral sources.
but you chose not to administer psychological tests which may have screened or confirmed your opinion that he was not malingering.
Correct, because I felt there was a sufficient level of information that was not needed.
No further questions?
He drove me crazy. He drove me crazy. She's a doctor. This is her opinion. I mean, she's the test. She's the answer sheet.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Doc, you may step down. Thank you. Do you gentlemen wish to make argument, submit written argument, or what?
Judge, I'm willing to submit based on the exhibits and testimony.
Just briefly, Your Honor, just to remind the court, I'm sure the court's well aware, the burden of proof in this instance is preponderance of the evidence. I think we've established that. I don't think the state has disproven that. And we would submit on that, Your Honor.
Darn it. All right, listen. I'm going to back it up just a pinch because I have a question. Oh, I went too
The
far.
Cullen case, Jonathan Cullen, it's 2020.
That, Your Honor.
There. Again. Okay. I just have a quick question because I honestly don't know. I need to know. His tie. Do you see how low his tie hangs? Where is a tie supposed to stop? There's so many men in this chat and very intelligent women. How low is your tie supposed to go? Just, all right, I'm gonna go forward now.
Instance is preponderance of the evidence. I think we've established that. I don't think the state has disproven that. And we would submit on that, Your Honor.
In response, Your Honor, I think you should be aware of a recent case out of our Court of Appeals, the Cullen case, Jonathan Cullen. It's 2024, Ohio, 1916. It's out of Madison County. Which
C-U-L-L-E-N.
Cullen. That's 2024, Ohio, 1916. The court can't just rely on the testimony of an expert witness, even a psychologist. You have to make an independent determination of whether or not he meets the criteria of incompetency. Thank you.
So apparently everybody in the whole world knew that it was top of the belt except for me, but I don't wear ties, so. Yeah.
Is that State versus Cullen?
It is, Your Honor. out of Madison County, 12th District.
It's not coming up, Mr. Arnold. Just find it, Marcus. Yeah, please.
I have a copy if you don't mind.
I
me
just
marking.
can't, I'm not going to, coming up on Westlaw.
No, it's like 30 pages long as well. I can provide the court or your bailiff a copy of that if you would like.
You have copies, hand me.
I can tie a tie. I just didn't know where to end it.
Have you read this?
I'm familiar with it.
We get an answer. Not to worry. Well, he was asking dumb questions. I'm sorry. I mean, that's his job. His job is to do that. Do it. Serial killer. Your voices are making you a serial killer.
Mr. Arnold, this obviously is a very long decision. Do you want to give me the highlights and why you think this is applicable?
I think that it's not so much dispositive of the case as it is applicable to how the court proceeds, and the upshot of which is, I believe, the court has the ultimate duty to make that determination based on all the facts before you, and you may not
Competency hearing.
solely rely upon the testimony of a forensic psychologist, her opinion one way or the other. But
May not, as in I don't have to.
yes,
Was this a case where there was an evaluation that was done?
actually, this was not an evaluation. This is a case where the judge conducted a competency inquiry from the bench and did not feel it was necessary to order a psychological eval.
Anything else?
Not from us, Your Honor.
All right. The court does find and is satisfied that the defendant is currently incompetent to stand trial, but restorable to competency within a reasonable statutory time period. The least restrictive placement for that restoration is the Summit Behavioral Health Care. Anything else, Mr. Arnold?
No, on behalf of the state.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, that's all.
Okay. So this next one. All right. Southpark. It just reminds me of Southpark. Some people will hear it, some people won't. If you don't hear the Southpark in it, that's fine. It's still very interesting.
Are you Jonathan Venziano?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Venziano, you are here for what is called a probable cause hearing or preliminary hearing. Those mean the same thing. This is not a trial. You'll not be found guilty or not guilty of your charges. The possible outcomes of this hearing is that the court will find probable cause from the evidence, won't find probable cause from the evidence, or may find probable cause for something other than it is as charged. If you hear anything that's upsetting or you think is unfair or untrue, please don't blurt anything out. That generally only hurts people without them realizing it.
No, it doesn't, because we put him on YouTube. But I don't know who this judge is. I think he's pro tem, so I don't know if we'll ever see him again.
And that's what your attorney's for. Make sure that he knows what you're upset about, and he will get your concern addressed. Do y'all need a minute before we start?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Your State calls investigator David Kissinger. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth in the matter before the court and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may have a seat. Can you please introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Special Agent David Kissinger. I work for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation assigned to the Appalachian Regional Drug Enforcement Office.
Thank you. And are you a post-certified police officer?
Yes, sir, I am.
When did you obtain the post certification?
2016.
Thank you. Have you been working with the GBI since 2016?
No, sir. I've been working at the Appalachian Regional Drug Enforcement Office since 2017. I've been with the GBI since 2018.
Thank you. Were you working in the capacity as an investigator on May 21st, 2024?
Yes, sir, I was.
Thank you. Did you happen to have contact with the defendant?
Yes, sir, I did.
What brought you in contact with the defendant?
During the course of a drug investigation, probable cause for a search warrant was obtained for the residence of 141 Price Road, Dawsonville, Georgia. During the execution of the search warrant on the date you mentioned, I believe it was May 21, several individuals were located at the residence, one of which being Jonathan Venziano. During these, there were multiple, everyone there was interviewed. Two of these interviews led to information about Mr. Venziano's trafficking methamphetamine activity, which was corroborated by the location of evidence. A female named Alexis Bruce was interviewed. Alexis stated that she knew Venziano to keep methamphetamine in a bag that she described as a black zipper bag. She believed he usually stored it in the woods at this residence. That interview was conducted. Another interview.
Thank you, Patty.
Conducted with
Thank
a
you.
gentleman named Mitchell Teague. Mr. Teague stated that he believed Mr. Venziano to be involved with the large amount of drug sales and drug activity going on at this residence. Mr. Teague stated that he actually identified a vehicle that he believes to be the source of supply of methamphetamine for the residents. And he saw Mr. Venziano meet with this vehicle a few hours prior to the execution of the search warrant. He was familiar, he estimated amounts of 2 to 3 pounds of methamphetamine that he believed to be moving at this residence. And then Mr. Teague also
She's annoying.
Stated that I think that agent had him identify Mr. Venziano by the shirt he had on. So after the interview with Miss Bruce, while evidence was being collected, a black zipper bag that seemed to fit the description that she gave was located inside the residence. Another interview with Miss Bruce was conducted where she was taken inside the residence and shown the black zipper bag. And she said, yes, that's the bag I was describing that Mr. Venziano uses to keep methamphetamine that she thought would be in the woods. It was sitting on the living room table in the house. When we opened the bag, there was a trafficking amount of methamphetamine. I believe it was approximately 4 ounces. Next to that bag of methamphetamine, there was a red iPhone that on the background screen was a picture of a gentleman who I believe to be Mr. Venziano and another female. It was like a selfie picture of 2 people. One of them, I believe, Mr. Venziano. I conducted a Mirandized interview with Mr. Venziano, and he stated
Take
that
my
when he
money,
came to the
Donald.
house, the only thing he brought with him was his phone. He did not claim any drugs that were located in the house. I told him that several people had identified him as the person who owns the large amount of drugs in the house, and he said that was all fine and dandy, but all he brought was his phone. The interview was concluded shortly after that. Also, there was a separate amount of methamphetamine found in another room. Miss Destiny Solons has lived at that house for at least 5 years that I'm aware of. The house has been it's a great place for drug activity and fugitives to hang out. It always has been for the past at least 5 years. A lot of people are familiar with that house. Miss Solons has lived there
But I was talking to you in Judge Fleischer's courtroom. What happened? It was all those damn melatonins you took, isn't it?
since at least 2019. I know. She was also arrested for the drugs. I think they were found in her bedroom. She claimed those drugs. She also had drugs on her person and I believe in her vehicle also. So the 2 people arrested were Miss Destiny Solons and Mr. Jonathan Venziano.
Who else started singing Dolly Parton when he said that?
Did Miss Solons state where she got her drugs?
Let me check that. I did speak with her quite a bit. I believe she identified. She did. She told me about a person and described where he lived, but I asked some agents who worked the area that she described, and they were not familiar with that person. Not to say she was lying, but she did identify a person. It was not Mr. Venziano.
Thank you. And you said this was conducted at 141 Price Road?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Is that within Dawson County?
Yes, sir. It is.
Thank you. And were you on scene during the search warrant?
Yes, sir. I was.
Did you see the defendant at the house?
Yes, sir. I did.
Can you identify him by article of clothing?
He's wearing a red jumpsuit, I believe.
Let it be shown that he identified the defendant.
So no,
And you said it was about 4 ounces?
Yes, sir. I want to say it was 116 grams. I'm not real great at math, but I think that's right about 4 ounces.
Thank you. And did you conduct a search warrant on his phone that was located next to the methamphetamine?
Yes, sir. So that phone was seized. A search warrant was obtained for that phone, and that phone is being forensically extracted right now.
All right, so you don't have the results of that search warrant.
That's correct.
And how close was it to the bag of methamphetamine that was located?
They were adjacent.
Thank you. And
He was totally found incompetent. That's just another nail. Another nail. I'm going to get him. Going, Georgia.
adjacent, you mean touching
Ohio?
or?
I didn't see it with my own 2 eyes. I was told by the agents. I was conducting interviews, and I was told by agents who located it that they were adjacent.
And you spoke to Miss Sullins?
I did.
And who spoke to the other?
Dorito, yes.
So Special Agent Hannah Shear and Special Agent Bobby Cunningham spoke with Miss Bruce initially. The second interview where they took Miss Bruce to identify the bag, I believe Agent Cunningham did by himself. There were probably other agents in the room because that was in the living room of the house. And then Task Force Agent Mark Sutton interviewed Mr. Mitchell Teague.
Thank you. And the search warrant that was conducted, did that indicate that Mr. Venziano was the perpetrator of the drugs in the house?
No, sir. Now, while my office as a whole is familiar with Mr. Venziano prior to this search warrant, I was not specifically, as it relates to this case, familiar with Mr. Venziano being associated with that residence prior to the execution of the search warrant.
Thank you. And I assume the 2 individuals that were interviewed besides Mr. Venziano were interviewed separately?
Yes, that's correct.
And both indicated that it was Mr. Venziano's methamphetamine?
No, sir. So the interview with Miss Bruce, she described the bag
Mhm.
and then identified the bag later once we had located it. The interview with Mitchell Teague that Task Force Agent Sutton did, he did not describe the bag. He's told us that he had bought methamphetamine, or I'm sorry, he had brought methamphetamine to this house and used it there. I believe he arrived at the house that morning. Mr. Teague stated that he knew of a lot of traffic in and out at this house due to the sales of methamphetamine that occur here. He had heard talk of 2 to 3 pounds coming in and out of the house. He identified the vehicle that he believes to supply methamphetamine to the house and observed that he saw it arrive earlier. I think he said around 2 p.m. Yeah, around 2 p.m. and saw Mr. Venziano meet with that truck. And then he identified Mr. Venziano.
But Mr. Teague believed that it was Mr. Venziano's methamphetamine from the sale, from him meeting with that vehicle.
I'll object to the form of that question, Your Honor.
Oh, if there is a way you can reword that to, be
What
a
did
little
Mr.
bit less
Teague-
leading.
Certainly, Your Honor. My apologies for cutting you off. What did Mr. Teague think Mr. Venziano was doing at that vehicle when he met with it?
Obtaining methamphetamine.
Thank you. And who did Mr. Teague believe that the methamphetamine in the house belonged to?
Mr. Teague we did not show him the methamphetamine found in the house or address that with him.
But he indicated a similar amount of methamphetamine that was located, that was constantly moving through the
He
house?
did not say any amount.
Hmm.
He did not know or indicate any amount.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Thank you. Cross it out.
It's Investigator Kissinger, is that correct?
Special agent, but investigator.
Special Agent Kissinger. You said you've been with the GBI since 2018, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And what type of specialized training have you had in recognizing meth, et cetera, how meth is sold, what type of containers are used, et cetera?
Yes, sir. So I've been working drug investigations exclusively since November of 2017. So coming up on 7 years. I've seen methamphetamine thousands of times, conducted hundreds of undercover purchases of methamphetamine in special agent. The initial course in 2018 were, of course, shown different types of drugs. But like I said, prior to that, I had already been working drug investigations and have received that training, both hands-on training and been to, I would estimate, several months worth of drug-specific training, drug investigation-specific training.
Okay. And approximately how many officers or agents were there, okay, when this search warrant was executed?
Approximately, agent-wise, probably approximately 10. There was also multiple Dawson County deputies on scene to assist with securing residents and making sure the residence was safe before the search began.
Okay. And describe your role, okay, from the time about what time was the search warrant executed?
Let me give you an approximate time here. It was in the evening. I believe it was approximately or just after 7 p.m.
Okay. And what was your role, okay?
I was the case agent on the investigation. So
And what did you do?
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir. So on the initial execution, I was on the
Thank
entry
you,
team, which entered the
Rebecca. Thank you,
residence,
thank you, thank you.
helped secure several individuals who were located. Afterwards, I personally conducted the interviews with Destiny Solons, Jonathan Venziano, and a gentleman, I believe his name was Kirk St. Clair. So I conducted those 3 interviews. And then
Is
also
that Kurt or Kirk?
Kirk.
K-I-R-K?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And did you say that he lived there?
Mr. St. Clair, I did not believe. No, he did not live there.
Okay.
I think he was a friend of Miss Bruce who was there. Also, outside of interviews after the execution of search warrant, I assisted with conversing with supervisors and other agents on the search team about where evidence was being found and what information was provided from other interviews.
Right. Okay. And where exactly, you described a black bag, is that correct? Okay.
Yes, a black zipper bag would be the best way to describe it.
Okay. And how was that discovered, if you know?
It was on the living room table.
And what was the black zipper bag? What type of material was that?
Thank you, Casey.
Cloth.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think it was, trying to think of it was a cloth bag, but I believe it wasn't like if you lay an empty bag down, sometimes some bags will just sit flat on the table. This one kind of had like some shape to it, I think. Like even if there was nothing in it, it would have some shape to it. Does that make sense? Like there's a structure.
Right. Okay. And was it all cloth other than the zipper?
I couldn't tell you for sure whether there was some plastic molding or
Okay.
polymer.
And where was that bag as you describe it?
On the living room table, I believe. 1 second, I can confirm that for sure.
And did you actually see that bag there?
I did see that bag briefly.
Okay. Was anything else on the living room table other than that bag?
Yes, confirm. In the report, it's referred to as the coffee table, but it was in the center of the living room.
Right. It was a coffee table, right?
Yes, the red iPhone that we discussed a minute ago that has a picture of a gentleman that I believe to be Mr. Venziano was found next to that bag.
Okay. And when you say next to, I think you testified on direct that it was adjacent to the bag. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
The phone was, okay. And basically, did you see the phone next to?
I saw
container.
so when I saw the bag and the phone,
Mhm.
they had already been discovered by agents. I didn't see them in their original place. Does that
Oh.
make sense?
Okay.
They were photographed before they were moved, so that's all documented.
Okay.
But I don't know the exact how many inches or they were
Right.
apart.
Okay. So they were on the same table, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's pretty much what you know personally. Okay. Correct.
I would assume based on when someone
Well,
tells me
we're
it's
not interested in your assumptions.
well,
Okay.
Continue.
Go ahead.
I think when someone tells me something is next to it on the same table, we can all, knowing the English language, make the assumption that they're not one on top of the other, but they're not across the table from each other. They are adjacent. I just think that's common English
Okay.
terminology for close by.
Were you told that they were adjacent or next to?
I don't know if the word adjacent was
remember.
used or the words next to.
All right.
I think they're synonyms, though.
Were there other items on the coffee table?
I don't know. I probably. That would be photographed, but I don't know specifically.
And
Thank you, Donald.
when you
No,
saw
I'm
this
leaving.
bag, it was closed, correct? Or was it open?
I saw the bag. I don't remember if I saw it closed or if I saw it open.
Okay.
I know that eventually I saw it open. I don't remember if I saw it closed before I saw it open.
Okay.
I can tell you that because the initial interview with Miss Bruce was conducted, and then the methamphetamine was located in the bag that she described. And when I spoke with Agent Cunningham, I said, what we did not do is we did not show her an open bag with 4 ounces of methamphetamine in it and say, hey, is this the bag you said the meth was in? She saw the bag without seeing the methamphetamine inside it. I can't tell you
Okay.
that.
And did she say where she saw the bag at? If you know.
She said that she believed Mr. Venziano to usually keep the bag in the woods.
And did she
Thanks for
say how
stopping
she
in,
knew
Upper.
that was the same bag?
She recognized it.
Oh, okay. And did she say how she recognized it? What made it?
I think because
Unique.
she had seen it before.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's an assumption, but
I understand. Okay. And you stated there were several people there, correct? Okay.
Yes, sir. There
When
were
you went in.
approximately, I believe approximately 6 people between inside the house and some outside the house.
And where was Mr. Venziano when you first saw him?
When I saw him, I believe he was on the porch. He had come out of the residence.
Okay. And did anyone else tell you that he had been inside the residence?
Do you mean like other people interviews?
Yeah. Okay. Well, what did you hear it from any other officers? Okay. That he had.
No, when I said, okay, I'm sorry. When I saw him on the porch,
Yeah.
he was coming out the front door. Like
Okay.
I was watching him. We were calling people out of the house, ordering people out of the house. Everyone was ordered out of the house, and he was one of the people who came out.
And he came out the front door, right? Okay. Was he already in the, what room was he in, if you know?
I saw him come out the front door,
Okay.
which leads to the living room. I can tell you that, but I don't know if he came from another room and walked through the living room to get to the door.
I see. So you don't know his whereabouts. Okay. All right. And
But the front door leads to the living room.
had you and other agents had this house under surveillance, okay, for a while?
Not 24/7, but on that date, there was surveillance conducted of probably an hour to two about prior. There were some vehicles in and out. And then on previous dates, there had been some surveillance at that house.
Okay. And has anyone told you that Mr. Vinciano was trying to avoid the police that day?
No, sir.
Okay. And were there other people there who were found hiding in a closet, if you know?
No, sir. There was people outside the residence,
Okay.
and then we called some people out. Now, I don't know if you're asking if someone might have been hiding in the closet and then came out.
Yeah.
Then that might have happened, but they came out of the closet willingly if they did. So I don't know what happened before we were in the house.
And you don't know where anybody was at, correct? Right before you came into the house. Is that correct? Who else was inside?
So there was movement in a bedroom. If you walk into the living room, there's a bedroom to the left that's on the front of the house. There were people moving in there. And then we actually began entering the house, and we decided everyone who was going to come out consensually had already done so. The only person still in the house was an older lady who lives there. I believe she was in a wheelchair.
When you say the only other person, okay, other than the people that you've already described?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. This is well beyond the scope. I've not said
All
anything
right.
for a while, but this is getting well beyond.
Okay.
I'm going to allow it for now, but yeah, we need to get to it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you re-ask that, what you said?
Sure. Okay. You said that she was the only other person in the house. Is that right? Or
We entered the house. She was the only person we could see her in the living room. She was in a wheelchair. And
Right.
when we entered the house, she was the only person still in the house when we entered the house.
so there was another person there in a wheelchair in the living room. How far from the coffee table approximately was she?
I would estimate 20 feet. She was close to the entrance to, I believe there's 2 bedrooms to the left. She was close to that hallway.
And you mentioned that there was a man by the name of Kirk that was there, and there was Alexis, correct? Okay, that was there. And Destiny was or was not there at the time?
There.
She was there at the time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Inside the house, right? Okay. All right.
I believe the only name we haven't discussed that was also there was Aaron Abercrombie.
And where was he, if you know?
I believe he was one of the individuals that came out of the house. So total, we are looking at Mr. Venziano, Miss Sullins, the older lady who I believe is Miss Sullins and Aaron Abercrombie's grandmother, Aaron Abercrombie, Kirk St. Clair, Alexis Bruce. I believe it was 6.
And Mitchell somebody?
Teague.
Right. And do you know, did he come out the front door of the house with everybody else, if you know?
Mitchell Teague I remember he was down at the basement level, standing outside the basement door.
Okay. Was the basement searched?
The basement was searched.
Okay. Did you find anything down there?
I can refer to this. I don't think anything that we took as evidence or
Okay.
any persons were located in the basement. You want me to refer and double check for you?
No. Okay. That's fine. Well, go ahead and do that.
Which one?
No evidence was seized in the basement.
Okay. All right. And the meth was weighed, right?
Correct.
Okay. And all the meth was in this black bag, this black cloth bag with a zipper that was found in the living room on a coffee table adjacent to a cell phone, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you observe any other property that belonged to Mr. Vinziano there at the residence?
Not that would be immediately recognizable as belonging to Mr. Vinciano,
Okay. All right.
but that would be hard. I'm just saying that would be hard to immediately see something and know who it belongs to.
Did anyone tell you who lived there at the residence?
Yes.
Who told you?
So when I spoke with Miss Solons, she told me that she stays in the left bedroom and that Alexis Bruce has been staying in the back right bedroom. And then that her, like I said, I believe the older lady is her grandmother.
Right.
She is the one who she also lives in the house. And then I think that someone spoke with someone else did interview Aaron Abercrombie, and I believe he said he had been staying there.
Okay.
Kind of an on and off, though, not necessarily full time from what I recall.
All right. And nobody told you that Jonathan Vinciano lived there, did they?
So I wasn't sitting in the interview when Mr. Mitchell Teague was spoken to.
Right.
He just said that he had believed Mr. Vinciano to be involved with the drug trade there. I don't believe he said that he sleeps there or resides there.
Right. And nobody told you that they saw Mr. Vinciano with that black bag. Okay, correct?
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
Miss Bruce stated that she knew Vinciano to have a black bag that she usually keeps in the woods. And then she later identified the black bag where the meth was found, and believed that to be the same black bag that she had described to us as belonging to Mr. Vinciano.
Okay. And other than her, nobody else, correct?
No one else mentioned a black bag.
Okay.
I did make a whole bunch of people's houses play Despacito once by saying that on stream. I won't do it again. Don't worry.
Nothing further.
Thank you. Redirect.
Just one quick question. How did you identify the
Fire.
material as being
Straight
methamphetamine?
fire.
I don't recall if it was field tested that day or field tested at a later date, or possibly not at all. I can tell you it's been taken to the crime lab at this point. But what I could tell you for sure is that I've seen methamphetamine probably upwards of 2,000 times in crystal form, shake form, powder form, brick form, liquid form. And I've also seen fake methamphetamine, be it MSM or aquarium rocks or any sort of item that people use to fake methamphetamine. I know by the texture, how it breaks, how it feels, how it glistens in the light. And I believe this was methamphetamine.
Was there any doubt in your mind that this could be a material other than methamphetamine?
There's no doubt in my mind that it's methamphetamine.
No further.
Thank you. Recross.
Nothing further.
All right, thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next witness.
State restaurant.
All right. Defense, any witness?
No witnesses.
All right, argument.
Waive and reserve, Your Honor.
Judge, if anything, I didn't hear any evidence that there was any drugs on Mr. Vinciano's person, okay, or anything else that belonged to him. There was no testimony that this was his house, okay, or that he lived there, okay. Basically, we have a man that was there, okay, at the time this occurred, okay, and we have a black bag that was on a coffee table that didn't belong to him that had meth in it, okay. Basically, we've heard other people, and we don't know about the credibility of these witnesses yet, okay, who claim that they had seen him with a similar black bag, and nobody said there was anything unique about this bag, okay, that it was his. But basically, there were other people inside the house besides him, several, okay. And one of those people testified that it was, that he had a similar black bag, but they didn't say that they knew what was in that black bag. And he had, there was a cell phone that was a red cell phone that had a picture of someone who looked like him, okay, that was on the same coffee table. And he wasn't sure exactly where it was at. So exactly how much evidence do we have, okay, that links the defendant to this black bag that contained methamphetamine, okay? Basically, there were other people who lived there that had access to that room, Judge, okay? And that's all the evidence that there is. We believe that that's insufficient, okay, for trafficking. Okay, thank you.
Plus, he never asked what the coffee table was made out of. What material is it? Is it adjacent to the wall?
Thank you. Steve.
Your Honor, we have 2 interviews conducted that pointing to the defendant having possession of the black bag or being involved in the drug trade. Someone positively identified the black bag as belonging to the defendant. There was methamphetamine found in it next to a phone. This is a probable cause hearing. There's plenty of probable cause to believe that the defendant had possession of that trafficking amount of methamphetamine.
All right, thank you. Okay, as Mr. Crawford has pointed out, there are certainly a lot of moving parts here, but probable cause standard being what it is, there is probable cause for the warrant, and the court will bind that over.
Judge, are you sure? Are you sure about that, Judge?
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. I appreciate your being here, sir.
Off to jail you go, okay? Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Now we have to get back to normal. We have to bring ourselves down. I think so too. Because maybe the black was vinyl and he said cloth, so he can't be the drug dealer. He can't be the drug dealer, guys. Actually, it was his grandmother's house, so he goes with you. All right. All right, well, let's just get into Fleischer's courtroom and get back to normal. Here we go. Yeah, there's a bunch of South Park fans. If he wouldn't have done that, you guys would have never seen this case. But every time he said okay. Wow. All right. I don't even see the file. There it is. Hello, Your Honor.
Tina Perez. Ms. Perez, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am. Okay.
All right. Judge, on July 27th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a minor accident and disturbance call. Upon arriving, they spoke with the complainant and the defendant. The complainant stated that he was involved in a minor vehicle collision with the defendant. The defendant was driving at a high rate of speed. He stated that he stopped his car and she got really close to his car, so he waved at her to go because she could not move because of him being so close. She then flicked him off and drove off, striking his vehicle on the back corner. The complainant then followed the defendant, and when they stopped, she was acting weird. He was already on the phone with 911. Defendant and her mother were outside and stated she had some wine for her Mother's Day. Defendant had slurred speech. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted. The walk and turn 7/8. The one leg stand was a 4-4. Defendant was irate, having mood swings and cursing at officers. Defendant had past head injury, so the HGN was not conducted. DIC was read, search warrant executed, and blood drawn.
Ms. Perez, have you ever, or does she have any prior DWIs?
No,
Can you check? Great. Ms. Perez, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using alcohol or any kind of drugs, I'll put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you have a valid Texas driver license? Do you have valid liability insurance in your name? You may continue to drive, but just be careful. If it does become suspended, you may not drive. You have counsel. He will take care of you. If he tells me he can't get a hold of you because you're playing games and not responding to phone calls or text messages, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. I will waive your appearance for now, so you don't have to waste your time coming to court, but you must stay in touch. No more alcohol, and that's it.
There's a little bit of
Okay, for
truth
now, I'll
to
have you
that.
go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, you'll go trace for your bond conditions, and after that, you're free to go. Thanks, guys. Yes, ma'am. Take care.
Judge, page 8, Martinez Mendez.
Yes, sir. Hey, good morning.
Good morning, Judge.
What was the last name?
He's an immigration judge. He did hire an immigration lawyer. They're asking me if we can please hold off on the warrant to give them time to grab.
She's
together.
I
right.
need proof, though. I don't, I mean, not that I don't believe you, Mr. Santana, but I don't know. Let me see what we have, if I can see somehow.
I believe it showed us system that he did have the immigration on hold, but I spoke with the attorney yesterday. If I need to get anything from him, I can do that.
It looks like, you know, if you go to the immigration site, you should be able to pull up a document that says that he's currently in ICE custody. Can you see if they can do that? You mind? And then if so, then we'll give you, and do you know the hearing date by chance?
No.
Is there one?
No, there's not hearing yet. We were both, I was just hired on this case.
Okay, let's do this. Can you reach out to them to see, just to verify that you have it? If so, we'll give you 30 days.
See what I can get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Joe,
Morning, Judge. Here on Fernando Cueva Gonzalez. I'm standing in for Gene Taus. Judge, it's a DWI arraignment.
okay. Do you need a translator?
Yes, sir, we got Roberto right there.
Oh, Roberto, come on.
I'm sorry, on this gentleman, I don't, I'm sorry, I apologize. Oh, wait, missed it.
Oh, we don't need it. Okay.
Page 4.
Yeah.
Right.
Fernando Cueva Gonzalez. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you, sir.
July 28th, 2024, at around midnight, officers conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle after he stopped on the curb between the median and lane 1, impeding traffic in the lane and causing a safety hazard. Upon approaching, officers observed the defendant in the driver's seat, asleep, vehicle on, and left front damage on the car as it had been struck in a traffic control device in the median. Officers observed tire tracks coming from the service road into the median, leading up to the sign that he had been struck. That had been struck. Strong odor of alcohol in the breath was observed, incoherent speech, droopy eyelids, bloodshot eyes, and slow movements. Defendant gave officers a receipt for Finn McCool's Irish Bar, timestamped at 11:29 p.m., showing the purchase of 8 of 8 Bacardi Light beverages. Defendant placed his wallet on the center console, but then was unable to find it. Upon exit, defendant stumbled and said he was coming from Irish and was going home. He did not recall hitting the sign. He stated he had 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 drinks. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted, 6 of 6 in the HGN, 1 of 8 in the walk and turn, and 2 of 4 in the one-leg stand. DIC was read. Defendant advised he was 5 out of 10. DIC read, and defendant refused breath, blood warrant executed, and blood drawn.
Any prior DWIs?
Noted.
Okay. Mr. Cueva, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, you will go to jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a Texas driver license?
Yes,
Do you have valid liability insurance in your name?
yes, sir.
As long as you have both, you may continue to drive. Don't drink any more alcohol. Don't use any dope. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you ever have any questions, ask Joe. He can tell you how what goes on in here. Now, because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance, so you don't have to waste your time coming to court, but you must stay in touch with counsel and they will tell you when you have to come back to court. If they tell me they can't get a hold of you because you're playing games, I will issue a warrant. We'll have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, you'll get the trace for your bond conditions and then you're free to go. All right? Thanks, guys.
Jeff, we're gonna start with the Spanish arraignments.
Okay.
Page 6, Garcia Castillo.
Good morning, Roberto. Are you Garcia Castillo?
Yes.
Sir, you are charged of driving while intoxicated, second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Okay.
With a
On
special
July
chip in the back.
27, 2024, officers responded to a minor accident at 2 a.m. Officers spoke with the defendant and the driver of the other car and observed the defendant to have bloodshot, watery eyes and was disoriented. Defendant admitted to driving and stated he had been drinking earlier, 4 to 5 drinks. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted, 6 of 6 in the HGN, 5 of 8 in the walk and turn, but defendant stopped walking and turned and told the officer,
Headbangers
quote,
ball.
"Just take me to jail." One leg stand was not performed. DIC read, defendant consented, breath level was a .269 and a .289.
Prism.
And judge, there's one former
Prism.
DWI from 2017.
I see this.
17.
Mr. Garcia Castillo, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Tell me, are you a United States citizen?
No.
What happens if you go to jail?
YouTube doesn't let me play music.
Yes, I can be deported.
You know how long you'll sit in jail if ICE puts a detainer on you? You will sit in custody for about 6 months, if you're lucky, perhaps 9 months, more than likely, waiting first for this case to finish, then for immigration to take you and do whatever they're going to do to you. If you do not want that to happen, do not violate any of these conditions that I put on you now. Otherwise, I will put you in jail, and if you're unlucky enough, you're going to be there for an extremely long time. You do not have a Texas driver license. You are not allowed to drive. You will be signing with me today an affidavit promising me that you're not going to drive. Above all else in this life, do not drive. Do you understand? I will also, because it's a second offense, you will be required to obtain a portable alcohol breath test device to prove to us that you're not consuming alcohol. If I find that you consume alcohol or any kind of dope, likewise, you will go to jail.
Fozzie, you can't give me clues because now I know exactly what's going to happen. You can't give me any clues. I will figure it out off one clue. And I figured it out. And now I know what's going to happen.
I'm going to randomly test you. Do you understand?
I did let them know that those would be your conditions. We had a good talk about it.
Right. Just please warn him sufficiently so he gets it. Above all else, no driving. If he gets a license and insurance, then we can talk about a guardian interlock. But until that point, no driving whatsoever. You cannot justify any reason for getting in a car. Now, you have a great lawyer. Listen to Frank. He will take care of you. You have a week to get this device on you. Charge it on a daily basis. If it goes dead, if the battery goes dead, so will you. We will have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. You will then get to Victoria to sign a reset. After that, you'll get the trace for your bond conditions. And after that, you'll be free to go.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Take care, man.
All right, the next is page 8, Mendoza, come on up. Alfredo Mendoza.
No hay, todo en español, nada en inglés.
Vic, what page?
Page 8.
Okay. Alfredo Mendoza. Mr. Mendoza, you're charged with failure to stop and give information, leaving the scene of an accident without exchanging information. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you.
On July 27th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a residence. Complainant stated that the defendant, who lives a few houses down, was in his vehicle exiting his driveway in an unsafe manner, which caused the complainant to swerve to avoid getting hit. Complainant stated
Jason, 1 second. Maybe, Vince. However, you do the same thing at work every day. Every day you do the same thing at work. Fozzie, give me a link. And you know, but at least here is very interesting, right? Give me my link.
defendant then attempted to cut him off and sideswiped him intentionally.
Jeez,
Defendant's
Nathan,
vehicle
you.
had damage to the
Thank you,
side
Michael.
consistent with the complainant's story. Defendant then drove off and mouthed things off to the complainant. Complainant followed behind the defendant and called 911, and the defendant eventually returned home. Complainant stated defendant became aggressive and wanted to fight him. The defendant told officers it was the complainant's fault. The total damage was $1,800.
So what time of day or night was this? Is there any kind of allegation of alcohol usage? He has a prior to the BI from, a little over 10 years ago. So
I'm not seeing a time on the DIMS, Judge. Yeah, there's no mention of alcohol.
Mr. Mendoza, are you a United States citizen? In this country with or without permission? What happens if you go to jail?
Well, my family would be without me.
Yes. What else? Are you in this country with or without permission? If you go to jail, what happens?
I don't know what's gonna happen, but I don't.
Mr. Mendoza, immigration sweeps the jail every single day. If you're in there for more than a couple hours, they will find you. They will put a detainer on you. You will be stuck in jail until this case is over with, and then until immigration is done with you, which will be the better part of 9 months. If you do not want that to happen, do not violate these conditions. You are now working on your second case with us.
Me too.
You are playing Russian roulette with your life. You do not have a license, so you are not allowed to drive. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, a promise that you're not going to drive, Mr. Mendoza. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care if you need groceries. A kitten has to go to the hospital. Jesus needs a ride to church. You get in a car and drive. I will have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months every time you drive. I guarantee you do any more than a day, you will get an immigration detainer. I'm also ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs, and I'm going to randomly test you.
Boys, stop.
Find that you're consuming alcohol, likewise, you will go to jail.
And Judge, based off the OR, it was reported at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Jason.
Seriously though, do you guys read the comments on the videos when you guys give memberships? People are so thankful. They just really are. And you know, they have stories that you guys should read.
I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. After that, I will get you to Victoria. We're going to get you out of here to hire a lawyer. After that, you will meet with Tracy for your bond conditions. Do not drive. Do not consume alcohol. Do not pick up any new cases. I will protect every person in Harris County, Mr. Mendoza. I don't care if it makes you upset or it hurts your feelings that I have to put you in custody, but I will do it in a heartbeat. Come on.
All right, Judge, next we have page 12, Torres, come on up.
You speak Spanish, right?
Should I? Spanish.
Can I play it on? Can I play it? Can I like play it? Can I play it right now? Can I do it right now? Oh, I hate this delay. Can I do it right now? Ah, ah. 32 minutes and 29 seconds.
Ms. Torres on 12, Your Honor.
Is it Shaddai Torres? Ms. Torres, you're charged with prostitution. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you, ma'am.
On July 27th, 2024, undercover officer went on the escort website, found a listing with the defendant's information and contacted her. She met the officer at a hotel
Absolutely.
and they agreed
100%.
$600 for 1 hour. Inside the hotel room, she agreed to engage in straight sex with a condom for $600.
He gave me permission. He gave me permission. I have to unmute him. And unmute him. Make him big.
Kathy, you can't just tell people at the end of your video that if they were here for court, they can leave, and then we chatted up for another 30 minutes.
Bye, people.
You need an outro.
I'll just apologize afterwards. I'm just going to play it.
Got this life that goes digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor like a twisted jaw. Get away, there's no alarm. Tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Her eyes near a sky so blue. In her jokes there's a truth so true. With each string she brings the light. turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom, eyes blue like a summer's moon. Her humor dark and twisted,
Yeah,
sharp.
that's true.
In a wake, there's no alarm.
That's awesome. That's freaking awesome.
Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom, eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted, sharp. In a way, there's no alarm.
Are you still? That was awesome. That was the best thing ever. Oh my gosh, thank you. That was so cool. Outro, huh? But I like talking. All right, Fleischer, you can have your spotlight back. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was so cool. Oh my goodness.
Ms. Torres, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to engage in this
Citizen
type
Z.
of behavior anymore. Do you understand?
Yes.
That
If
was
you
awesome.
do, I will revoke your bond. I will put you in jail. Tell me, are you a United States citizen?
No. No.
Are you in this country with or without permission, ma'am?
With permission.
What type of permission do you have?
De parole.
Y estoy en proceso de residencia.
The process to get.
So that means you're not in this country with permission. Ms. Torres, the only thing I'm trying to impart to you, if there is, I don't know if you're in this country with permission. I don't know if you're applying. It really just doesn't matter. But if you go to jail and immigration finds you in the jail, they will put a detainer on you. You will be stuck in custody until this case is over with and then until they take you to immigration. So all I'm asking you to do is behave yourself. Do not pick up any new cases and do not engage in this type of behavior. That's it.
Judge, there's a 2022 alien removal charge. So,
You've already been removed once, ma'am. Could be very, very big problems with the federal government if you're caught again. I would be very, very careful. I will provide you a lawyer today if you need one. But don't pick up any new cases. Don't engage in this behavior again. Can you file the conditions, Pavel, please? For now, I will have you come up to Victoria, sign a reset, and then I will have you take a seat in the jury box. Would you like a court-appointed lawyer, ma'am?
Right now, no, but I will have one.
Sorry?
I will have one lawyer.
I can give you a lawyer today, or you can go hire one. What would you like?
She had spoken to me, Judge. She was lost in court 3, so I brought her to 5, but I just let her. She's a pro se.
Okay. Yo te puedo dar un abogado ahora si quieres. Okay. So you're right now, we will have you sign a reset and then I will have you take your seat in the jury box. Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions, ma'am. Otherwise, I will issue a warrant, and then I'll have you speak to the lawyer here momentarily.
Right this way.
Okay.
Did you wanna go ahead?
Mr. Santana, what do you got real quick, so you don't have to wait? Yeah.
Judge, my secretary showed me how to do this. I entered the immigration website, entered his information. It does show him in custody there. I can forward that to whoever.
Let me just see it. As long as you can pull it up and I can see it. Yeah. See, it's great. Now we can verify. Okay, so you want to just stay in touch with them.
Yes.
If he is able to bond out, please have him come here immediately thereafter, and then,
The last one we did turned out that we had to give it 2 resets and he finally came back.
okay. You want 30 days? How long do you want?
That'd be great.
Yeah, okay. All right, for sure. Thank you, Mr. Santana.
Yes, sir.
All right, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Page 5 and 6. Galvan, Francisco, come on up.
Okay, is that it for Spanish? Hey, man. You Francisco Galvan. Mr. Galvan, you're charged with reckless driving. You're also charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. On the weapon case, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. On the reckless driving, you're facing up to 30 days and or a $500 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during any questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer be appointed to represent you, sir.
On July 26th, 2024, officers on I-45 witnessed a vehicle going 92 miles per hour in a 60 mile per hour zone, which was clocked by mounted dash radar. Vehicle also made abrupt lane changes without signaling, straddled lanes, and followed too closely. Traffic was moderate and road was wet. Defendant was ID'd by his Texas ID card. Officers observed a live 9mm round between his legs on the seat. Defendant initially denied there were any guns in the car, but eventually admitted that there was a gun under the seat. A black Taurus pistol was recovered. Defendant said, quote, "I believe the gun was used in a crime and probably linked to another crime." The gun had been used in a shooting incident with the operate of the gun being defendant's aunt. There were 2 bullet holes in the back of the vehicle.
So they got the gun. Are they running it? Do they know?
Sir, I did not say that.
Okay, don't, please.
Your idea, it was fired in an incident immediately preceding this incident. So the defendant happened to have the gun at the time he was arrested, but we don't know anything about this prior.
I guess just keep me in the loop if you find that it's linked to something, you know?
Sure.
Mr. Galvan, do you have a Texas driver license? You're not allowed to drive at all for any reason. You will be signing an affidavit with me today promising me you're not going to drive. I don't care what's going on in your life. If you drive, you will be doing a substantial amount of time in jail. Do you understand? How old are you? What do you do for a living?
Not do fence. I'm working for a contractor with pets.
Did you graduate from high school?
Excuse me?
Did you graduate from high school?
I did not, sir.
We're going to work on that.
Hi, Lightfoot.
My drug test you what's going to show up right now.
Marijuana, sir.
What else?
Probably it.
I'm sending you right now. I want to know. I expect you to come back, sir. If you do not come back, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand? I'm going to have you come up here, swear to me that you're not going to drive. After that, I'll just have you take a seat in the jury box. I will give you a lawyer today. Come back after the drug test, and then we're going to work on more conditions.
Can I get my own lawyer?
Sure you can. but I'm still going to put these conditions on you regardless. Do you understand? All right, come swear to me and just take a seat for me at the jury box. Tracy, can we send him now, please? This is Galvan. Yes, ma'am.
All right, Judge, page 7, Manning, come on up. Go in, right this way.
What's your last name, sir? Manning. Jamarian Manning. When you're ready. Okay. Mr. Manning, you're charged with assault and bodily injury. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews with the state of Texas. If you cannot afford a lawyer will be appointed to represent you, sir. Okay.
On July 25th, 2024, officer was flagged down by the complainant in Harris County, Texas, who advised he was just assaulted at his business and the suspect vehicle was in front of him at the light. Officer caught up to the suspect's vehicle and initiated a traffic stop. The complainant stated that the male wearing red was the suspect who assaulted him. The defendant advised that during an argument, he struck the complainant in the face multiple times because he thought the complainant was going to strike him first. The defendant stated he struck the complainant a total of 3 times in the face with a closed right fist. The complainant advised that he was then struck in the face by the defendant once, leading him to fall on the floor, and the defendant kept punching him with a closed fist approximately 12 times and kicked him twice. The complainant's right eye was observed to be swollen and a small cut was observed on the inside of the complainant's lip. The complainant stated he felt pain and discomfort from the assault.
Got it. Mr. Manning, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with this person and not to be in possession of weapons. Tell me, do you have a Texas driver license?
Yes, sir.
Do you have valid liability insurance in your name?
Yes, sir.
Are you on probation or parole at this time?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. I will first have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. I will then have you take a seat in the jury box. So we'll get your bond conditions. Don't pick up any new cases. Don't have any contact. Otherwise, I will revoke your bond and I'll put you in jail, make your bond extremely high.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Please.
This way. All right, Judge, page 9, Mesa, come on up.
I'm just saying, CJ, when I was growing up, bad meant good.
Good morning, Mr. Mesa. Sir, you're charged with assault of a family member. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
On July 27th, 2024, the defendant and the complainant were in a verbal argument about their children's eating habits. The complainant attempted to walk away, but the defendant jumped over the couch and grabbed her by the neck with his left hand and threw her on the ground, in which she fell back and struck her head on the tile floor, further causing pain and a laceration to the back of her head. Complainant's sister arrived and transported the complainant to the emergency room where she was treated. Officers observed a 3 to 4 inch gash to her head in which she had already received 7 staples at the Houston Emergency Room in Tomball. Complainant does not want to pursue charges. The complainant is the wife of the defendant.
She ended up getting 7 staples because of this. Mr. Mason, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. A protective order was issued on the 28th of last month. Get to know it, because if you violate the court order, the state can and will file a violation of a protective order against you. It's one of the worst cases you can pick up. Do you understand? I am ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case and not to be in possession of weapons. If you violate this, I will put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. Do you understand? We're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. So I will have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, I'll have you take your seat in the jury box. So we'll get your bond conditions. So I'll be signing it. After that, you'll be free to go.
Look, when a good heavens gets thrown out, you know it's bad.
Please be careful. No means no. Do you understand? Okay, come on.
Right this way. All right, Judge, next is page 11. Sanchez, come on up.
Pavel, do you mind filing no contact?
Yeah, she allegedly got staples.
You got a PR bond on this case? This case is 1,548 days old. You've been given opportunity after opportunity. No more PR bonds for you, Mr. Sanchez. That goes away today. Goes with you. I will appoint your lawyer today. We'll figure out what happens with your case today, Mr. Sanchez.
Next is page 12. Taylor, come on up.
He goes with you.
Good morning, Ms. Taylor. Ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present during questions and interviews with the state of Texas. Be not afford a lawyer be appointed to represent you, ma'am. Okay.
On July 26, 2024, at 1:48 in the morning, officers were dispatched to a parking lot for a medical call. They observed a vehicle to be on and running with the driver and sole occupant passed out in the driver's seat. Officers opened and unlocked the car and woke up the defendant. Officers smelled a strong odor of alcohol on the breath and observed heavy slurred speech and glossy red eyes. The defendant had underwear down to her thighs. Upon exiting, she was swaying while standing still. Defendant said she drank one fishbowl margarita. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted, 6 of 6 on the HGN, 4 of 8 on the walk and turn, and 4 of 4 on the one-leg stand. 1 can of Smirnoff in the center console, cold to the touch, was observed. DIC read, breath sample was refused, blood warrant was drafted and executed.
Alcohol in the car. Ma'am, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Here's the rub. You're also on felony probation for an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. You're facing a lot of time. What happened, Jason? What happened on the ag assault, please?
Officers were dispatched to a family assault in progress. On scene, officers spoke with the complainant, who said the defendant, his common law wife, with who he lived for 10 years, assaulted him. They'd gotten into a verbal argument. It escalated to the point where the defendant stabbed him 1 time on both feet with a kitchen knife and then threw boiling water at his private parts.
Ms. Taylor, do you have a Texas driver license? Do you have valid liability insurance in your name? I want proof before we allow you to drive. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using anything, I'm going to put you in jail. It's as it stands now.
Wait till you meet my next husband, Fletcher.
Oh, this is your second time that you have violated conditions on your probation. They're going to issue a warrant. It's just a matter of time. So I would be on the lookout because a felony warrant will issue. It would behoove you to have a lawyer as quick as possible. Can you run her license, please? What do you do for a living, Miss Taylor? Doing what? And how much money do you make a month? Okay, we're going to reset your case to give you time to hire a lawyer. Ma'am, I'm telling you, a felony warrant's going to issue lickety split. I would get on it to getting a lawyer really quick. You understand, ma'am? So I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. After that, you'll get the trace for your bond conditions. Don't violate these conditions. I will deem you a public danger and make your bond $50,000 in a heartbeat. I will protect every single person of Harris County. Do you understand, ma'am?
Yes, John, can I ask a question?
Don't, what?
I just like to know if I could get reset on Friday. I'm off on Fridays and Saturdays.
I'm okay with that. So you're off on Fridays? Yeah, so for the reset that we'll give you a Friday, but I would get on it quick to getting a lawyer, man. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Tuesday, Monday, or Friday?
No, Friday.
Only Fridays?
Good morning, Mr. Robertson. Mr. Robinson,
A lot of stuff, Judge.
I hope that you've learned something.
I've learned, sir.
Guilty animal.
Guilty, let's get out of here, man. We can make this long and strong, just we ain't doing that today.
You're done with us today,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
With us, you just have a little criminal trespass. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. You've worked out an agreement. They're offering you 9 days in jail, credit for the 3 that you've done. So basically you're done with us today, right? Unfortunately, you won't be let out because of the cases upstairs, but at least you're done with us.
I'm able to ball out on now.
Good. Focus on that. That's where you need to focus on. And just be good while you're out there. That's it.
Can I ask you an honest question?
Sure.
If I would have came in today from the free world, would you have locked me up?
How? I mean, did you do something that you weren't supposed to do?
Still alive, yes. Oh, okay.
What happened? I don't remember.
He had a bond violation up in the felony, which issued a warrant. So that's when you shot me an email saying he needed to be here today.
That's right.
But he was already in felony court and they took him into custody that very day.
That's all. That's all.
If you have a felony warrant, I have to take you into custody. I can't let you go because then I get in trouble. He gets in trouble, right?
So what's up with the 7-Eleven? I still can't go over there? I have girls over there. I have friends.
You have been trespassed from there.
He wants to go back. Did he just ask if he could go back to the 7-Eleven? What? Where's his mom at? Bring mom back in.
Okay.
Every time you go over there, they're gonna take you to jail.
That's what I want to know.
Find another place to go to, and then when you find another place, be nice.
Circle K, man, not 7-Eleven. Circle K.
All right. Wait, we're not done yet.
That's why you still have to say you're guilty or not.
Right. You're giving up a lot of rights by entering into this agreement. You give up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront, cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. So once we're done today, you can never change this or undo this. From now on, you will be facing at least 30 days in jail if you pick up any more cases in here. So just be careful. How do you plead to the offense? I will find you guilty.
Sir, I hear the Chevron is the place to be.
He sentenced you to it. Now you're done. Good luck. And Mr. Sanchez, we expect you to show up. When you show up to court, good things happen. When you don't show up, you now know what happens. You will now be dealing with this lifelong consequence as a result of your failure to come to court. You are now pleading guilty to this DWI. It will go on your record. It's going to be there for the rest of your life. It's even there after you die. With your record, you have 2 suspended license cases. Now you have a DWI going on your record. When you get pulled over, what do you think an officer is going to do to you? They're going to harass the hell out of you. Every single time you get pulled over, don't matter what you're doing. I don't care if you're going to church, planting tulips, whatever, you will get harassed. And even if you have the faintest smell of alcohol or dope, you will be charged with a second offense. What we're doing today will not happen again. You will be facing a minimum of 30 days in jail. And if you're not smart enough to consider how to get home on a night of drinking or smoking or whatever, you will be doing a lot of time in jail. Do you understand?
Sir, you don't plant tulips in August. Thank you so much, big booty starfish.
You're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. You're giving up a lot of rights by entering in today's agreement. You give up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. Any prior DWIs?
Yes, Your Honor, it was actually dismissal out of Hidalgo County complaint.
Anything else?
That's not right. A lot of driving without license suspended.
How many you got? I see 2 here. Does he have more?
Yes, Your Honor, out of county. Give me a second. Yeah.
Jason, I don't know, man. You know, when was that DWI dismissed?
2019, Your Honor. There's one.
So he had that DWI. He picked up this DWI while he was on bond for that DWI.
I understand, Judge. I mean, the problem is I think he works in Florida. Is that correct? So that's part of it. Well, I mean, I'm saying like part of the problem with getting to court is that he works in another state. And I understand he's got to be here. He knows he's got to be here, but
We waive appearances for everyone. There's no excuse. No excuse. I can't in good conscience. When your case is 1,500 days old and you have a prior DWI that you picked up while this other DWI, why would I give you this kind of gift? No, I'm sorry. And then you have 2 prior suspended license cases here.
One in Fort Stockton and one in Hidalgo County.
2 more suspended license cases. It's not, I don't think so, Mr. Sanchez. You know, I think that if I were to take a time served, I would be enabling your behaviors, telling you that it's okay when it's not. You know, we can go back, we can work something else out. If you do maybe like 20, I'm okay with that. You know, where he probably would have just a weekend, something like that. But I can't, Mr. Sanchez, in good conscience, take this. I can't reward you for having 2 open DWIs simultaneously and then taking off on us for 3 years, 4 years.
how much credit he's got?
It's 6 days credit.
6 days.
It's 6 days credit. 3 for 6.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd still be the same thing anyways. You really have 6 days credit.
6 days credit.
What are we doing here? I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do. I know what I'm gonna do.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Here's what I'm
Oh
gonna do.
boy.
You will be required to pay every court cost that will be assigned to you today, which is a lot. And if you don't pay it, you will go to jail. For every $100, it's a day in jail. How much is it gonna owe? With the DWI, it's gonna be what, $3,000, right?
You're including the DWI track?
Correct. Yeah.
3,100 and could be 3,600.
Yep. That's what's gonna happen today.
Victoria wants to know if you would rather pay the $3,600 or go to jail for how many days is it? 2 days, 3 days?
So if you don't pay the court costs and the DPS fines and fees, you will go to jail. You're being assessed now over $3,000 in fees. So if you fail to pay, every $100 is a day in jail. So you can imagine how much jail time it is if you fail to pay. I am also
I
going
would
to
go to
suspend your
jail.
license for a year.
Jail,
I'm
jail,
not putting
jail.
you in jail now. But you know what's expected of you. And if you fail to pay, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. Sometimes you hit someone even harder in the pocketbook than when you do with a little bit of jail time. We'll see how it goes now, because if you don't pay, imagine. It's a lot of time in
How
custody.
much time do we have to pay the?
I don't expect them to pay it all up front now, but I'm gonna put them on the payment plan,
Okay.
you know?
Sort of.
But I'm gonna tell you, if you try to jet on me, I will remember, because I will make notations as to this right now about how many DWIs, how many suspended license cases you have, so that if you flake on us and don't pay it, for the $3,400 that's owing and doing, it's $100 for every single day. Mr. Sanchez, you give up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization under federal law. You give up the right to appeal. So once you accept this agreement, you can never come back and change this, challenge this, undo this. Do you understand? How do you plead to the charge of driving while intoxicated?
Guilty.
I will find you guilty, sentence you to 3 days in jail, give you credit for the 6 days that you've done. How much is total of everything?
I'm gonna check right now. $3,600.
$3,600 is what is due and owing that you will pay. Let me give you a piece of advice, Mr. Sanchez. The worst possible thing you can do in this life is drive. Because if I catch you driving and you pick up a new case in this court, because I will have jurisdiction over you for the next 5 years. If I catch you in a car driving, I'm going to light you up. Do you understand?
That's right.
All right. Good luck to you.
Guessing no good credit for court costs?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be responsible for all the court costs. Correct. Yeah. And then, so what kind of payment plan do they do down there?
I'm not really familiar with that. Usually they'll going off of what his financials are, we can work it out with them down there. I just know that he just has to go down.
Hey, Vic, when they put people on a payment plan downstairs, how long do they give typically?
I'm not sure, Judge. I think they take the consideration.
Can we dictate how long?
I've seen the year.
We did.
And they're allowed to request extensions. But it has to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do an extension. Once we do the payment plan now, you will be expected to live up to it, right? So could we do perhaps like a year, 2 years?
I think Trey can put it in.
Yeah, I can put it on the notes. He's gonna have to bring it
Okay.
down.
Judge wants 1 year.
What do you do for a living?
I work for Hilton.
How much money do you make a month?
About $2,600 a month.
Boston, take your hat off.
Okay. I don't want to kill you, right?
My job would never fire me.
But I want you to pay. So what I will do is I will put you on a 2-year payment plan. So it'll cost you $150 a month. If you don't pay it, every $100 is a day in jail. So you can imagine how much time you'll do on the $3,600 bill. Do you understand? Okay, so you can put them on the 2-year payment plan. Okay, good luck to you, Mr. Sanchez. Don't drive.
This way, Mr. Sanchez.
Whew. What a stream, guys. This has been a good stream. I'm not supposed to say this anymore, but if you're here for the videos, bye. Thank you for coming out. I appreciate it. Bye, CJ. With your bad internet. I would probably vote for coral over salmon, although I was 100% on board when they said salmon. But now that coral's in the mix, salmon seems a little lighter. It's not fuchsia. Fuchsia is bright pink. This is sort of fuchsia. I don't think it's burnt sienna. Burnt sienna is like more brownish than that. I think coral nailed it. Videos. Videos? I don't know. What do you mean videos? Videos. I missed something. No, flamingo would be like more like light hot pink. I don't know. Salmon is mauve is like purple. Burnt orange. Orange. No. I'm just no on that one. Uh-huh. We got it. No more discussion needed. I'll light you up red. There we go. I'm gonna light you up. I'm gonna put you over my knee, but not really because all you guys are way too big for my knee. My knee hurts just thinking about it. Thanks, Linus. You hurt my knee. Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. Your cats need fed. Chekhov needs food. Let's go. Yeah, I think it's coral. I would go with coral. Oh, that. Yes, I was going to play that one. Do I play it now? All right, fine. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. Oof. Thank you so much for coming out, guys. This is a really good, fun stream. Chat was on point tonight. I'm serious. Chat was on point tonight. I'm going to play a video on the way out, guys. So stay till the end of the video. Hold on, I gotta rewind it. I gotta rewind it. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Kathy, you can't just tell people at the end of your video that if they were here for court, they can leave, and then we chatted up for another 30 minutes. You need an outro.
I'll just apologize afterwards. I'm just gonna play it.
Got these lights that close digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late at night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Freedom tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Her eyes hear a sky so blue. In her jokes, there's a truth so true. With extreme, she brings the light. Turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted sharp. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle, she lights the way. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. A human dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no harm.